All right, so I just wanted to give everybody an update on my exploration of the Fibonacci sequence from a base 12 perspective, because suddenly all these patterns are emerging which aren't visible in base 10. So I'm not actually doing anything to the numbers. There's no mathematics involved other than just changing the numbers from base 10 to base 12. So it's rearranging the grouping so that they're in groups of 12, and then looking at a pattern that emerges in the 12 every 12 iterations of the pattern. So again, the Fibonacci sequence, you're adding the number, you start with your present number and you add the one before to get the next one. So you start with 1, you add 0, you get 1 again, and then 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8. And looks exactly the same in base 12, but 8 plus 5 is 13. So in base 12, it looks like 11. You have one group of 12 plus 1. And then 21 is one group of 12 plus 9. And then 34 is two groups of 12 plus 10. And we use this symbol here. It looks like an X. It's called deck. It's actually an X with a little bit of a sort of a tail on either side of that one, on one arm of the X, and then the other X is just a straight line. They're not exactly, it's not exactly an X. So that's called deck. There's another symbol that we're using that's called L. It looks like a backwards 3. So here it is there. So in base 12, we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, deck, L, and then do. So when you see a number that looks like 10 in base 12, it's a dozen. So that's where do comes from, a dozen. So dec, as in like a decade or a decathlon, that DEC. So that has a relationship to 10, a decade. And then L is already saying 11, so L. And you can kind of see like the 10 or the X is also used in Roman numerals. So it almost seems like somewhere in our far past, dec and L were around, you know, sort of in the people were aware of these symbols, and perhaps the Romans used the fact that this was already representing a 10 to come up with their X for Roman numerals. And then 100 is called gross, like a gross. And so right now, if you look up how much is a gross, it says 144. So we kind of have this base 12 history already kind of permeating our culture, but we haven't really been aware of it. But when we look at this base 12 notation on the Fibonacci sequence, we see that there's actually an interesting pattern that emerges. So if you look at these the last two digits of these numbers in this sequence here in the base 12 side, you go 01, 01, all the way down here we get 100. You get these two zeros that show up on the 12th iteration.